Your voice is returning. If you've ever been feeling this strange pressure in your chest, not pain exactly, but density, like something has been sitting there for a while and it's starting to stir. If you've ever noticed moments where you're about to say something or do something or pull away or ask for more and then you suddenly go blank. If you've been craving space so deeply, it's almost like a physical need, but at the same time, craving connection, closeness, reassurance. If you've been wanting to post, speak, create, confess, leave, start again, rest or disappear, be seen or not be seen, sometimes all in the same day, then babe, please pause with me. That's not confusion. That's not inconsistency. That's not being too emotional or all over the place. That is your emotional voice returning. And when I say your voice, I'm not talking about your speaking voice. I'm not talking about confidence. I'm not talking about being articulate or finding the right words. I'm talking about that felt sense inside you. The part of you that reacts before you explain why. The part of you that tightens, then softens, pulls away, goes quiet, or suddenly wants to cry. That part of you that whispers, I don't like this anymore. I'm tired of pretending. I want something different. I need space. This doesn't feel safe. I'm not okay with this. That part of you has been muted for a long time. Not because you're disconnected, not because you're broken, but because somewhere along the way, you learned that feeling honesty came with consequences. You learned don't feel too much, don't want too much, don't need too much, don't upset people, don't be difficult, don't take up emotional space. Don't risk closeness by being honest. And February is the month your system says, I can't keep doing this. So if you've been feeling more sensitive than usual, more reactive, more easily irritated, more emotionally tired after conversations, less tolerant of surface level interactions, more aware of resentment building quietly inside of you, that's not you going backwards. That's energy body 2 activating. And today I'm going to walk you through what February is really asking of you emotionally, how this energy works through your attachment patterns, your people pleasing, your guilt, and your fear of disruption, and how to move through it without abandoning yourself or collapsing back into old survival strategies. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Cherry, a spiritual life coach, energy mentor, numerology guide, and I help emotionally sensitive, big-hearted humans stop people-pleasing, build boundaries, and come home to themselves with clarity, power, and grace. And this is your February 2026 energetic guidance. Now, before we go any deeper, I want to ground something important. Energy doesn't force you. It doesn't punish you. It doesn't do things to you. Energy actually invites you. It creates pressure where something is out of alignment. It amplifies what you've been avoiding. It brings awareness to what can no longer be carried. You can rise with it, or you can resist it and feel like life is suddenly pushing all your buttons at once. And February is not a gentle nudge. This is an emotional body month, which means the work is not mental, it's not strategic, and it's not about fixing yourself. It's about telling the truth internally before you ever say a word out loud. The real question of February is not what should I say, it's what am I actually feeling and how often am I overriding it? Because the theme of this month is simple and uncompromising. Your emotional truth is no longer negotiable. February activates energy body 2, the emotional body. This is the layer of you connected to attachment, belonging, needs and desires, emotional safety and guilt, people-pleasing and intimacy. This is where you learned how to stay connected. This is where you learned what love required of you. This is where you learned how much of yourself was allowed. For many of you, love wasn't freely given. It was earned. Earned by being easy. Earned by being understandable. Earned by not rocking the boat. Earned by taking responsibility for other people's emotions. So you adapted. You became emotionally competent, very young. You learned to read rooms. You learned to anticipate needs. You learned to minimize your own feelings so everyone else could feel comfortable. And that worked until it didn't. February is the month that strategy stops working. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your emotional body has reached capacity. This month doesn't ask you to express more. It asks you to stop betraying yourself emotionally. That's why February can feel heavy, raw and confronting. You might notice emotions surfacing without a clear story. Tears that don't make sense. Irritation where tolerance used to live. A desire to pull away from people you used to bend for. Exhaustion after interactions that once felt fine. This isn't chaos. This is your emotional body reclaiming its territory. So what your voice is returning really means. Now, when I say your voice is returning, I'm not talking about volume. I'm talking about emotional integrity. There are 3 ways this shows up. First, emotional honesty. You stop minimizing how you feel. You stop explaining it away. You stop telling yourself you're being dramatic or ungrateful. You let yourself feel disappointment without correcting it. You let yourself feel anger without shaming it. You let yourself feel sadness without rushing to be positive. Second is attachment awareness. You begin to see why you overgive, why you over-explain, why you struggle to put away even when something hurts. You realize you weren't weak. You weren't trying. You were trying to stay connected. Third is emotional boundaries. Not walls, not punishment, not cutting people off, but knowing what I can emotionally hold and what I can no longer carry. Now, Energy Body 2 asks a single powerful question. Can I feel this and still belong? And February teaches you something radical. Belonging, that requires self-abandonment, is not belonging. So I want to give you a somatic check-in. Pause with me now. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Slowly inhale through the nose and have a long exhale through the mouth. Ask yourself, what am I feeling that I keep taking myself out of? Don't analyze, don't justify, and don't correct. Just notice. Notice where your body tightens, where it goes numb, where it feels heavy or restless. That's not weakness, that's intelligence. February isn't asking you to fix your feelings. It's asking you to stop abandoning them. And here is the real test of this month. Will you honor your feelings even if it disrupts attachment? Because emotional honesty often disrupts patterns. Patterns of pleasing, patterns of coping, patterns of keeping the peace at your own expense. This may show up as irritation with people you used to accommodate, guilt when you pull back, fear that you're changing too much, panic when you imagine being honest. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're outgrowing a survival strategy. And if you keep telling yourself, I'm just sensitive, I don't want to cause drama, I don't know what I need, I'll deal with it later. That's not the full truth. The deeper truth is this. You're scared of what you'll feel if you stop performing. Because once you stop performing, you have to feel the grief, the anger, the unmet needs, the disappointment of realizing some connections only worked when you abandoned yourself. Energy Body 2 is where you learned. Love is conditional. Closeness requires sacrifice. Safety comes from pleasing. February says that strategy has expired. This is what February is whispering. Stop overriding yourself. Stop managing everyone else's emotions. Stop shrinking your needs. Your feelings are not the problem. Your silence has been costing you your aliveness. Let that land fully. I want to move on to the 3 emotional activation areas. 1 is honor your needs. Stop expecting yourself to cope indefinitely. Rest is not laziness. Space is not rejection. Needing support is not weakness. 2, hold emotional boundaries. You do not owe everyone access to your inner world. You do not need to explain your limits to justify them. And 3 is use clean emotional language. Not harsh, not softened, just clean. This doesn't work for me. I need space. I'm not okay with that. I've changed. That's emotional maturity. I want to give you a guided practice. So sit comfortably. Again, one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Breathe in and breathe out and say quietly, it is safe for me to feel what I feel. It is safe for me to want what I want. It is safe for me to stop performing. Now whisper one honest sentence you've been holding back. Notice the urge to apologize. Breathe instead. And now I want to give you a ritual for the return of the emotional voice. You can light a candle hand on heart, hand on belly again, and ask, what feeling needs my attention? Write without censoring for 5 minutes. Read one sentence aloud. And I want to close with this. My feelings belong to me. February doesn't break relationships. It breaks false emotional contracts. If someone only feels comfortable when you're agreeable, they're attached to your performance, not your truth. And this month will make performing feel impossible. That's alignment. If February is bringing things up and you don't know how to hold them, you can always book a Stop Pleasing Breakthrough session or a Numerology Roadmap Breakthrough session with me. The links are in the description box below. This work isn't healed through information. It's healed through safety, guidance, and support. Your voice isn't volume. It's emotional integrity. So this month, practice one thing. Feel one thing fully without fixing it. That's how freedom begins. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be emotionally free. So with fierce love and grounded truth, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.